Some people love this neighborhood and some people want nothing to do with this neighborhood in Salem, Oregon. And if you stick with me at the end of the video, I'm going to reveal one of Salem, Oregon's more controversial neighborhoods. And I'm going to go over the pros and the cons so you can make your own informed decision on whether the neighborhood is right for you. But before I get there, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of the other different neighborhoods that we have here in Salem. And so you can have a better idea of what people like about the neighborhoods and what people don't like about the neighborhoods. Because let's face it, when you are moving to a new city like my family and I did, we relocated. We didn't know much about all of the little different neighborhoods and the nuances. We didn't know what people liked and disliked. And this video will help shed some light to make it easier for you before you make the move here. Now, the first neighborhood we're going to talk about is the South Central neighborhood of Salem, Oregon. And you can see where it is as a map is popping up right now. Now, we're going to go over the pros first and then the cons. Now, the pros is this is one of the more unique neighborhoods for several different reasons. The first being is it's one of the few neighborhoods that we have in Salem that you're going to find most of your bungalow and craftsman style homes that have a real true sense of character to it, all built around the same time, almost has that historical feel. In fact, there's some historical homes in the area. And this is a neighborhood that almost has kind of like this storybook feel when you're going down and you're seeing all these beautiful homes, beautiful gardens surrounding the homes. Massive oak trees. This area is known for having a lot of oak trees in the area, white oak trees to be specific, that provide a lot of shade for that summer and just some beauty throughout the entire year. What also makes this neighborhood really unique is that it is super close to the downtown area of Salem. In many cases, it could be easily walkable or bikeable if you want to get there without using your car. So this means you have easy access to the charm of downtown, the awesome Saturday markets that open up during the spring, summer, and fall. You have easy access to all the entertainment, the restaurants, the shopping, and just that kind of downtown city center vibe. And if that's what you're looking for, then this neighborhood definitely offers you some great pros when living there. It's also really close to the main public library that we have here in Salem. And if you are working in the government, in sort of government capacity in the government buildings or the Capitol building, again, since it's adjacent to downtown, it's easily accessible or walkable. Or if you work in the hospital, in the medical field, and you work at Salem Hospital, again, this is adjacent to that neighborhood. Another pro about the neighborhood is that you have Bush's Pasture Park, which is a massive open space right in the middle of this neighborhood that have many events throughout the year, including the annual art festival. There's an historical home there you can tour. They have a playground there, just open fields, a beautiful rose garden and a gazebo, a little foresty area and walking trails. Just an incredible place right there, right in the smack in the middle of the city, but yet also right in the heart of this neighborhood. You also have easy access to Riverfront Park, which is adjacent to downtown, and Mento Brown Island Park, which is just a quick drive, maybe a couple miles away. You also are close to some popular eateries, especially some family dining, the Best Little Roadhouse. They've got a little miniature golf course connected to that. So if you got kids, this restaurant's right in the neighborhood. They've got White's Diner for an amazing breakfast. And you have Gary Frank's, which is this dessert sandwich place right there in the neighborhood for you. You're also adjacent to Liberty Street, which has a lot of professional services. So again, if you're in that field and you can find a job or your offices are located right along Liberty in this neighborhood, again, you can walk to work, or if it's something you just need to access more frequently, a lot of professional services along Liberty. And if you have high school age kids, well, South Salem High School is right in the middle of this neighborhood, so your kids could easily walk to school or just a quick short drive. Now let's get into some cons of this neighborhood. These homes are older. Now, while that could really bring some historic and really cool charm to it, you have to remember that these homes were built a long time ago with a different lifestyle, so it's really hard to find open floor plans homes where the kitchen is opened up to the dining and the living space. These homes are more compartmentalized, which is typical of craftsman style and bungalow homes. So if you're looking for that more open floor plan, then this neighborhood's probably not going to be the best fit for you. Now, along those lines, if you're looking for something more contemporary style in your house, well, again, this neighborhood's not going to be the best fit for you. Now, I also mentioned oak trees. While they are beautiful and they are massive and they're really cool to look at, sometimes they can be problematic. And unfortunately, or fortunately, there are restrictions on cutting down or even trimming oak trees. And so you have to get permits to remove them if they are becoming a nuisance to the property, and just so be aware of that. And the last con for the neighborhood is if you are looking to live kind of away from the hustle, away from some of the congestion that can happen in Salem, especially in the city center, then again, this neighborhood's not going to be right for you. This is going to be someone who wants to be kind of right in the middle of the action, in the heart of the city, And so if you're looking for more space, a little bit more breathing room, then the South Central Salem is not going to be right for you. As a reminder, I'm Dave Fein with the Real Estate Dads at eXp Realty. My team and I love helping people move and relocate to the city of Salem. So if you're thinking about doing that, make sure you hit us up at the contact information popping up or in the description. Hit the like button if you like what you see to get the video out to more people. And comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts of some of the pros and cons that I have mentioned here. And remember, stay tuned because at the end, I am going to reveal one of the more controversial neighborhoods. Again, it's a neighborhood that I actually chose to live in. So you'll want to stay to the end of the video to see which neighborhood I am referencing and why it's controversial. Now, the next neighborhood on the list is going to be South Salem. Now, a map is popping up to show you where that is. Now, I should mention to you, when people talk about South Salem, a lot of times they talk about the entire area south of kind of the downtown area. However, there is a specific neighborhood called South Salem, and that's what we're focusing on at the moment. So the pros of this is you have some really cool mid-century homes, ranch-style homes that can have some really cool potential views, because in South Salem, you will find a lot of hills and some windy streets that really add to the character and charm of this neighborhood. Now, similar to the South Central portion of Salem, this is super close to the downtown area, and that's another pro that we have here on the list, is that it's easily accessible. Now, is it as close as South Central? Not necessarily. Are you going to walk there? Probably not, just because there are so many hills, little windy streets. It's not a direct access, but it is one of the neighborhoods it's one of the closer neighborhoods to the downtown area. So one of the pros is if you still want to be close to the downtown area, again, enjoy all that charm in downtown or close to the government buildings because you work there, then this neighborhood is a great alternative, especially if you don't want to be right in the middle of it and right kind of in that city center vibe. You just want a little bit of breathing space, then this is a great spot for you. It is also really close to the Mento Brown Island Park that I mentioned before, massive open park space, playground, massive dog park, beautiful walking trails along the Willamette River. This is right adjacent to that area. Another pro and popular thing about this neighborhood is that it has a lot of older growth trees, a lot of tall pines and oak trees. Again, has that storybook feel, almost that quintessential Pacific Northwest vibe when you're driving through the rolling hills, and some of the way the homes are built and the way they look just has that feel of the PNW. Also, if you're into golfing, this neighborhood is adjacent to the Salem Golf Course, so it's really easy to get to. You're also right along Commercial Street, which is one of the biggest north-south streets that's going to run through all of Salem. So you're really close to all of your amenities. Are you going to walk there? Again, probably not because of the hills and the winding streets. But again, if all of your amenities, all your shopping, your grocery stores, some of your casual dining, professional service are all there right along Commercial Street. So again, super close, 5-minute drive, and you're right there. Another pro is that you can find some new construction. And what's cool about the new construction here is it's not these massive communities where it's like 100, 200 homes community where it kind of feel really cookie cutter. These are small pockets. There was some open land. They built some newer homes where there's like maybe 15 or 20, but they are newer construction and they are available. But for the most part, you're going to be finding the older kind of ranch style mid-century homes. Another pro is if you are looking for higher end homes and a higher end community, South Salem does that available for you in the Croissant Mountain area. It's a private road to get up there. Beautiful homes on top of a hill with awesome views of the river, the valley. And you also have Nelson Park, which is just at the base of that area. Open space. The park isn't used a lot. Beautiful during the fall. They've got basketball court, playground, walking trails, a little cool bridge to go over, and just a really serene, quiet park. Now we'll start off with the cons of the neighborhood. And as I mentioned, most of the homes are mid-century builds, so they are older homes. And so they can kind of come with the older home quirks if they haven't been updated. I also should mention, as one of the cons, there is a pretty big discrepancy between the homes that are closer to Commercial Street, which are smaller, a little bit older, need a lot more work, smaller pieces of land, and the homes that are on the hill. So there's this really weird dichotomy or discrepancy between the neighborhood within the neighborhood itself. And the last con on this list is that it's kind of deceptively close to the downtown area in Commercial Street. Now, I mentioned as a pro, it is close because geographically it is, and time-wise it is, but when you're looking in these neighborhoods and living in these neighborhoods, you may feel like, oh, I can just kind of walk there, and it's just not the case. You're probably not going to do that, especially if you're living in the hills section of South Salem. You're going to be jumping in your car. It's not as easy to get there. It's not a straight shoot. You're going to be winding roads, going up hills. But again, it's close, just a little deceptively close. So I just want to make sure you're fully aware that you will need to jump in your car. It's not something that you're going to be really walking to. Now, the next neighborhood we're going to talk about is the Realty Hills neighborhood. And one of the first pros I'm going to mention is if you want acreage property, then this neighborhood is right for you, especially if you don't want to live in the countryside in Salem or outside of the city of Salem. This is a good spot for you. Now, this area is kind of in the outskirts, and you're definitely going to be a drive into the downtown area and to more of your amenities. We'll get to that in a minute. But you're not necessarily in countryside. So acreage property is located in this spot. Also, some larger homes, if you're looking for a bigger feel, a little bit more higher end, this is where you're going to find that type of community. The other pro is if you want to live in a golf course community, they've got you covered. There's a private golf club there. Got the clubhouse with a cool pool, rec room, a restaurant, and then of course, if you want that golf course living, then this is the right neighborhood for you. This neighborhood has some incredible views of the valley and the Cascade Mountains. It is a neighborhood where you feel really tucked away. So a pro is if you're someone that's looking for a little bit more peaceful, quiet, away from it all, yet just maybe 10-15 minute drive to your amenities, then this would be the neighborhood for you. I should also mention it is just a short drive to the Mento Brown Island Park for that nature reserve that we have here right in Salem. Now let's get into some of the cons of the neighborhood, and that is it's going to be one of your more pricier, one of your more expensive neighborhoods to live in for Salem, Oregon. So your budget's got to be on the higher portion, 800,000 and higher. The other con or negative, and I kind of alluded to it before, is that you are in the outskirts of the city. So it is going to take you a little bit longer to get into the downtown area, a little bit longer to get to your amenities along Commercial Street, and it's not necessarily a straight shot. You have River Road, which you can take right into the downtown area, but if you want to go grocery shopping or casual dining or just some professional services that you need, well, you're going to have to kind of cut through the South Salem neighborhood, which again, as I mentioned, windy roads, hills, so it adds a little bit of time to your commute. So if you want to be more closer to your amenities, then this neighborhood is not going to be right for you. I should also mention there is an HOA when living in this community. Now, you don't have to be a member of the golf club in order to live in the area, but in order to participate in the golf club, you do have to pay a fee for that as well. But the HOA is separate, so just be aware that there are some HOA fees when living in this neighborhood. Now, the next neighborhood we're going to go over is the Sunny Slope neighborhood of Salem, Oregon. And the first pro would be is that this is a neighborhood, if you want to feel away from it all, a little bit of escape, and yet you don't want to pay the prices of Realty Hills, then Sunny Slope is a great option because here you are pretty far south and pretty far west when talking about the entire Salem area, as you saw when the map pulled up of where this neighborhood is. It is a peaceful neighborhood. It is tranquil. It is a neighborhood where people aren't necessarily driving through it together to get to other parts of the neighborhood, much like Realty Hills, but again, at a much lower price point. Another pro about Sunny Slope is that if you're looking for new construction, then this neighborhood may be a good fit for you because we do have some areas where they are building some new homes. Next on the pro list, especially if you have high school kids, is that this neighborhood is adjacent to Sprague High School, which is a very popular high school in all of Salem. So easy access, possibly walkable, although there is a pretty big hill, but easy drive to get right into this high school. So if that's something you're looking for and considering, this neighborhood might be a good fit for you. Another pro is that this has almost like its little community shopping center. It's along Liberty. And what I mean by that is it's really a grocery store and an outdoor strip center that has some shopping and some casual restaurants that pretty much the people that live in Sunny Slope are most of the people that are frequenting this area. Other people in parts of Salem aren't necessarily coming here because they have all of Commercial or Kubler or the downtown area or other parts of Salem. They're not really coming here. So it's almost like this gathering spot where you're going to see a lot of the same friendly faces, your neighbors, your friends that live in the area, all in this one little shopping area along Liberty. And the last pro I'll mention is if you're someone that working in Independence or Monmouth, this is a great neighborhood for you because this neighborhood is going to be one of the closer neighborhoods that your commute is going to be a lot less. And it's kind of a straight shot into those cities. So if you're looking for a shorter commute because you work in those areas, but you still want to live in Salem, then Sunny Slope is a good option. Now let's get into some of the cons of Sunny Slope, and that is you are further away from more of your amenities. I did mention that little center shopping area along Liberty, but that's going to be kind of limiting. If you want more variety, you're going to have to travel along Kubler or along Liberty or through a different neighborhood to get to Commercial Street, where a vast majority of your amenities are. Again, your grocery stores, your shopping, more variety of restaurants, more variety of entertainment. So it is a little bit of a drive, but it's not too bad. Also, this does put you further out from the downtown area. So if you are someone that frequents the downtown area for all that it offers, or someone that works in the government buildings, this will add a bit more commute time than compared to some of the other neighborhoods that we had just gone over. Also puts you a little further away from I-5. So if you're using I-5 freeway to go north and south, well, this is going to add to your drive. And it puts you a little bit further from, the state fairgrounds, and because they have a lot of events there. If that's something that's important to you, then you may want to reconsider this neighborhood as well. The next neighborhood we're going to talk about is South Gateway. Now, this neighborhood, as you're popping up on the map, you can see it is south of Kubler. And I'd say the pros is this is the neighborhood where if you really kind of want to be away from the hustle and the grind of the city and the city center, but yet super close to amenities, South Gateway is a great option for you because you are really close to, actually, Commercial Street runs right through South Gateway, and it has all your necessities, grocery stores, gym, casual food, professional services, all right there that runs through the South Gateway neighborhood. Another pro is that you're going to find new construction communities here in South Gateway, and in general, you're going to find newer homes that are more updated, larger homes. In this community, there's our larger homes. You have some hillside living, so you will find some really cool views in this neighborhood as well. Another pro is, especially if you are a golfer and want to live in a golf course community, they've got Creekside Estates, which is a pretty expansive neighborhood within the South Gateway area that has some really beautiful, stunning homes. Also have some homes that run right along the golf course. You have access to the golf course, the rec and the pool and the amenities there. And it's also really peaceful and really quiet. It's one of those spots where, again, you're not really driving through it unless you live in this area. There is also a really nice park in the South Gateway area called Brian Johnson Park. Big open space, basketball court, playground for the kids, little walking trails, and it's right there smack in the middle of the community. Another pro is that you are close to one of the 4 food pod areas that we have in Salem called Beehive. This is kind of like a food truck gathering, although these are more stationary food places, but they offer a large variety of different foods. It's a fun place to go to. Also, I should mention, you are really close to I-5 access. So if that's important to you, South Gateway is super close to that. It also puts you closer to big box shopping like Costco, Walmart, Safeway, and those types of stores. So you have all of those amenities, and you can shoot down Commercial right into the downtown area. Now let's go into some of the cons of South Gateway, and I should say that this is the furthest south you're going to really be in Salem. So if getting into the downtown area or the government facilities, the Capitol building, or even the state fairgrounds, if that's something that's important to you, well, you may want to reconsider, because this is going to be about as far south as you can get. So it's going to be add a lot more to your commute. Also, if you're looking for more of that starter home feel, smaller homes, South Gateway may not have a lot of options for you, because, as I mentioned, they are larger homes, which then adds to the price tag for the neighborhood. Also, there's quite a bit of hills in South Gateway, much like South Salem. If I didn't mention that as a con, pros, because it has some really cool views, could add to some privacy and just the overall feel. But the cons are it's hillside, so you may have a sloped backyard or sloped front yard. Maybe you just don't want to park on hills. When it gets snowy or icy, it could be more of a challenge living in these areas. Or if you have kids and it's a little bit harder for them to play outside if there's not that many flat areas, as far as like maybe dribbling the basketball or riding bikes up and down the hills. So just some cons for the South Gateway area. The next neighborhood we're going to talk about is the Fay Wright neighborhood. Again, a map is popping up. It is that wedge triangle shaped neighborhood right there smack in the middle of Salem, and that leads us to our first pro, and that it is super convenient. It's one of the most convenient neighborhoods that you could possibly live in, because you are flanked by Commercial Street and Liberty Street, which have all of your amenities, all your necessities, all your shopping, your grocery stores, your casual food, your professional services, you name it, it is there right there on either side of your neighborhood. It also puts you pretty close to the downtown area. You're talking maybe 7-minute drive and you're right there. Not too bad of access to the I-5 freeway or the Salem Airport or wherever else you need to go. It's also really super close to some of my favorite spots in Salem, like Northern Lights Theater, which is a small theater in Salem, On Any Sunday, which is a great dessert spot. Trader Joe's, one of my favorite grocery stores. You've got Fred Meyer, kind of like a Target, but a little better pricing. All of these stores and more are right there adjacent to. Another pro about this neighborhood is that there's this really cool pocket in the Fein neighborhood that has some amazing, beautiful homes with some old growth, pine trees. It almost feels like you're living in the forest or cabin living right there, kind of in the middle of the city. So that's really cool. Now, these homes tend to be on the higher end and pricier side, but there is that option. So if you want that type of lifestyle, that type of living, but also be really convenient and also not necessarily being on any hillside property, then this is good for you, because most of Fein is going to be flatter. Yeah, there's some rolling hills, but nothing like you're going to find in South Salem or the neighborhood of South Gateway that we had just talked about. Now let's jump into some of the cons here for this neighborhood. It may feel a little tight or congested, for a lack of better description, because you are flanked by amenities on Commercial Street and Liberty Street. This neighborhood can kind of get cut through by traffic going to either one of those streets. Plus, it just feels a little bit busier because you're right in the middle of the shopping in the South Salem area. So if that's not something that's really you're looking for, you want a little bit more quieter neighborhood, kind of away from it. The other con about this neighborhood is that you're not going to find any new construction in this neighborhood. So if new construction is important to you, or more of that contemporary home feel, then Fein is not going to be the right spot for you. And lastly, there tend to be a lot more older homes in this particular part of Salem. So again, if you're looking for something that has a little bit more updates, more contemporary feel, then you may want to reconsider the Fein neighborhood. Oh, and I forgot, because there are no hills, it is flat, there are no views. So a lot of people moving to Salem kind of want those views. So if you're not necessarily looking for it, then it's great. But if you do want the views, then Fein it's not going to be right for you either. The next neighborhood we're jumping into is the Morningside neighborhood in Salem, Oregon. Now, the first pro I'm going to talk about right away is that this is a big opportunity for those that are looking for new construction. There's a massive project going on in part of the Morningside neighborhood called Fairview that's being built. A lot of it's been built, and now it is also currently being built. Big, massive projects, well over 100, couple hundred homes being built there. And so if you're looking to get in for new construction and you want to be in the southern portion of Salem, then this is a good spot for you to look in. There's also a neighborhood called Pringle Creek, which I don't necessarily know if they're still building there, but they are newer homes. And it's an interesting neighborhood, an interesting way of life. It is called an agrihood, where kind of agriculture meets neighborhood. I won't get into all of the details. You have to check out some of my other videos on my channel for more specifics on new construction and Pringle Creek specifically in the Morningside area. But this is a spot where if you want less maintenance, because you really don't get much of a yard, but you want newer homes, you want a tight-knit community where there's this kind of like cooperative living, where you've got this cooperative greenhouse and cooperative garden. There's fruit trees for everyone to pick from. There's walking paths. There's a little creek that runs right through it. They've got their own coffee place called Prism Coffee. Well, it's not their own, but there's Prism Coffee tucked in this neighborhood right there. There's community buildings that people can host events for. It's kind of like front porch living, where you're out in your front porch, you're saying hi to your neighbors, you're seeing a lot of people walking in your neighborhood. There's just no big sense of your own private property as far as, I don't say private property, but your own backyard necessarily. So it's a lot of community living. Anyway, I'm kind of digressing, but that is a big pro for people that are looking for that type of lifestyle. The other pro about Morningside is that it's super convenient to Commercial Street, much like the Fein neighborhood. This is basically across the way from Fein, where you have, again, all of your amenities that you would need in your day-to-day living, and it puts you pretty close to the downtown area. Also, like South Gateway, the pro is you're right by our big Costco in the city. So if that's something important to you, I know my family and I use Costco frequently, so this is a good spot for you if that's something that that you're looking for. You're also really close to access to the I-5 freeway, so if commuting north and south outside of Salem is going to be important to you, then this would be a good spot. You are close to the Salem Airport, which will also be a con, but pro is if you're someone that travels right now to Los Angeles or Las Vegas with any frequency for business or entertainment, then easy access to the airport as well. I'll also mention you're just kind of a short drive to our mega Walmart in town, and also Wonderland, which is an arcade. Actually, it's opening up, should be opening up in spring of 2025. Massive, gonna be a massive family center with arcade, indoor, go-kart racing, laser tag, other entertainment. So this is gonna be a really big entertainment spot that you're gonna be living pretty close to. All right, now let's jump into some of the cons of Morningside, and that is you are close to the airport. And I mentioned that as pro if you like to travel, but the con is you're going to have some sounds, some residual sounds from the airport, from some of the commercial flights that come in and out of the Salem Airport, which is not that frequent. It's a few times a week. But you may also get some noise from prop planes or smaller jets that fly in and out of this particular airport. If you're looking for more open space and trails and park space, then this particular part of Salem may not be the best fit for you. There is a park, but it's a little bit on the smaller side. There is an open field and a playground, basketball court. So it is right there in the Morningside neighborhood, just not as big as some of the other parks you're going to find in some of the neighborhoods that we had talked before. And it's a little bit more of a drive to Riverfront Park, to downtown, or Mento Brown Island Park in the downtown area. Another con, if you are looking for views, again, this is one of those neighborhoods where there are some rolling hills, a little bit of view, but not really. So if that's something that's important to you, then this may not be the right fit for you as well. All right, the next neighborhood we're going to jump into is kind of the northeastern Lancaster area of Salem. Now, this is going to be a big geographic area that I'm kind of lump into one. Now, again, if you stay to the end of the video, I am going to mention one of the more controversial neighborhoods. It's actually one of the neighborhoods that I ended up choosing to live in, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But this section that we're talking about now, some of the pros are it is really convenient. Now, when I say convenient, not necessarily to the downtown area convenient, but along Lancaster, which is another major north-south street in Salem, is where you're going to find all your amenities. Another big pro in this area is that in this section of Salem is where you're going to find our Target. It's really our only Target in Salem. The other one is in Kaiser. So it makes it really convenient for that type of shopping. My family and I go to Target all the time. So if you live closer to there, much easier access. Also, the Willamette Town Center is in this area. So again, it's convenient for big box shopping. We've got the Best Buy there, Hobby Lobby, Home Goods, TJ Maxx. There's a big movie theater there. There's Barnes & Noble, Dollar Tree, and some restaurants like Applebee's. There's Dave's Hot Chicken. There's Crumble Cookie. And there's a few other places that I'm forgetting off the top of my mind. But it's our big box shopping center right there. Also, this area of Salem puts you really close to I-5 freeway. So again, if that's something that's important to you, really convenient for there. Now, I mentioned the Food Pod area in the South Gateway area. This is a pro to me because I just love these types of places. But we have got the Yard in this section of Salem, which again, it's this bunch of stationary food trucks that are there with about 15 or 20 different varieties of food. This one actually has some indoor seating. They also have entertainment there, trivia night, game night, those types of things that happen there pretty frequently throughout the year at the Yard in this section of Salem. There's also some family activities like bowling, trampoline parks in the area. So if you've got a family, you're going to be no shortage of some indoor entertainment with that. I'll also say it's going to be probably one of the more affordable areas in Salem in this section. When you're, especially with your east of the I-5 freeway, then it's a little bit more affordable. So that is a definite pro because parts of Salem can be more expensive. I will also say a big pro is that it is home to one of the more massive new construction projects by D.R. Horton out there. Several hundred homes being built. Many of them are already built, where you can buy new construction for actually a really good price. It's one of the least expensive new construction areas that you're going to find. In fact, a lot of the homes will sell for around the median price or a little bit lower than the median home price in Salem. And right now, currently, it's about $435,000 is the median price in all of Salem. So new construction for about that price is pretty good. Another pro about this neighborhood is that you are really close to some farmland. In fact, a lot of the farms that open up for you-pick season, where you can go out and pick your own fruit and vegetables, they're right out in this eastern portion of Salem and the outskirts there in the countryside. So it's really convenient. My family and I love traveling out here. It's a big event for us. Not event, we do it frequently actually throughout the spring, summer, and fall. So we're out there pretty often. Also, these farms open up to some really cool fall festivities like corn mazes, pumpkin patches, hay rides, games, activities for the kids, and so much more. So really convenient to those spots as well. I'll start off with the new construction cons is that with the new construction, these developers are packing these homes in as much as possible. And so the homes are really squeezed in tight. You don't have a lot of lot size, so your yards are smaller and your neighbors are super close. So just be aware of that. While it comes at a lesser price tag, you're going to want to become super close and good friends with your neighbors because you're going to be living really close to them. The other con is that you are further out from the city center. So if you are someone that wants to go in the downtown area for all that it has to offer, or you like to frequent the Saturday market during the seasons that they're open, or if you work in the government offices, it's a little bit of a drive, maybe like 15, 20 minutes, depending on where you live in this section of Salem. And last, I will say it feels really suburban out there. It's pretty flat. It's gridded out. There's no hills pretty much to speak of, no views. It just feels kind of this suburban feel of Salem. But again, a lot of people are looking for that. They don't necessarily want to be in the hills section. They don't want to be in the city center. They want to be a little bit out from it, yet super close to amenities. And also a lot more affordable, then this will be the right spot for you. All right, we are heading over to the Grant and Highland neighborhood. Now, one of the pros here, like the south central part of Salem that we had talked about in the first portion of this video, is that you're going to find craftsman style homes and bungalows, which is really cool. And they're going to be more affordable than what you're going to find in the South Salem area. Now, a large portion of this neighborhood is designated historical, so that's kind of a cool pro if you're looking for that historical home or you want to live in a home that is designated historical, then this would be a great option for you. And like the South Central portion of Salem, this is adjacent to the downtown Salem area. It's north of Salem instead of being south, which makes it really convenient, again, to enjoy the charming downtown that we have. You can walk, bike right into it. So that part is really cool, is that you have that city center vibe, that city center feel, and it's at a more affordable spot than that first neighborhood we talked about in the South Central portion. Also, if you've got families, you got young kids, you are really close to the Athletic Edge, which is this really cool indoor playground area and a really great gymnastics center. You are also really close to the Kroc Center put on by the Salvation Army. If you're not familiar with that, it's a really cool, again, indoor activities, kind of like the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club, but even more so. They've got indoor pool with like water slides, rock climbing walls, basketball, pickleball courts. They've got fun events and camps throughout the entire year and so much more. So really, really close to that. Also, by living in the Grant and Highland area, puts you a little bit closer to Kaiser. And why that's important is because the Kaiser Station, so if you want that big box shopping experience, Kaiser Station has our newest Target in and around the area. They've got your Staples, they've got Michaels, they've got a Lowe's out there, they've got an Ulta out there, and they've got a lot more shopping out there, shoe stores. They've got In-N-Out Burger there, and rumors are out there that there's going to be a Trader Joe's opening up here, which is one of my favorite markets. Maybe a little bit down the road, but that may be in the works. We're going to jump into the cons for this area, and that is the homes, while they're really cool, craftsman and bungalow, they do tend to be on the smaller side. Also, this neighborhood may be a little bit underdeveloped as far as some of the homes may need more work than you would find in the South Central portion of the homes. Even though they're similar style homes, these homes may need a bit of work, but it's also why they're less expensive. The lot sizes are smaller and the homes tend to be a little bit closer together, just so you're aware of that. This is another neighborhood where it can feel a little bit more busier, congested, because there are some bigger streets that kind of cut through this area for people in Salem that are getting to and from the downtown area or into Kaiser or connecting to I-5 freeway or getting to the state fairgrounds. A lot of people are cutting through these neighborhoods to get to those areas. And last, I will say that you're kind of adjacent to where a large part of the homeless population resides, kind of in the downtown area. It's not right in the neighborhood, but it's a little bit closer to that, so you may get a little bit, you may see that a little bit more than you would in other parts of Salem. All right, if you made it to the end of this video, I am going to reveal one of the more controversial neighborhoods in Salem. It's a neighborhood that I chose to live in, and it is West Salem. Now, it is a popular place to live, don't get me wrong. However, it's almost kind of love-hate relationship in Salem. And the main reason is because you've got to cross the bridge in order to get to West Salem. You got to cross over the Willamette River. And a lot of people don't like to cross the bridge because they think there's too much traffic. Now, is there traffic on the bridge? Sometimes. If the lane gets shut down, yeah, it can cause a lot of trouble. So it's not the most convenient. And if you're living in other portions of Salem, there's really no reason to come into West Salem. The real question is, do you want to live in West Salem where you have to cross over the bridge to get to the rest of Salem? And for us, it's not a big deal. The traffic is not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. It's no worse than any type of traffic you're going to face on Commercial Street or Liberty Street or State Street or Capitol, whatever streets that are more frequent in during the rush hours. So let's jump into the first pro that I think was a big draw for my family and I, is that we wanted to live away from the hustle, away from the city center, and yet still be really close to the downtown area. And for us, that was West Salem. It feels kind of like you're on an island. It's not technically an island, but it feels that way, and that you feel a bit separated from the rest of the city. And for me, it's more of a sense of breath. I feel like I can stretch out, I can breathe a little bit more. I love living on the outskirts. I love the countryside that surrounds us. I love being adjacent to the Willamette wine country, which is just a short drive from West Salem, where you can hit up multitudes of wineries and vineyards. It's a beautiful drive out there. And I just love that aspect of West Salem. I find it's more natural out here, a lot more nature. For me, the pros are it is hillside living, so the views are incredible. Whether you have a view from your house or you're just driving around the neighborhoods or going into the commercial area of West Salem, you're bound to see views of the Cascade Mountains. I see Mount Hood, Mount Jefferson all the time. I love it. I see views of the valley. I see views of downtown. That's something that was that I didn't have where I came from. I came from a large city, and I wanted that for my family, and my family really enjoys that. We love the hillside properties because they tend to have a little bit more privacy, and they do have those views. Some really cool pros are we have some great parks out here. We have Orchard Heights Park that has some good baseball fields, playground, basketball courts, pickleball courts, little dog park, little creek, little trails that run along a creek that my kids love walking. We've got Wallace Marine Park, again, a little bit controversial because there is a bit of a homeless element that they are staying in along the river, along the tree-lined portion of the river. But honestly, when I'm there, I don't really see that or am affected by it much. I'm not going to go traipsing around the river in that particular section, but we love using the soccer fields. They've got a great baseball complex, a nice playground area, big open space, and you also have river access. So if you got boats or sea-doos or kayaks or whatever you want to do in the river, they've got a little access and drop-off point here when you're in West Salem. It has one of my favorite food pod areas, Checkpoint 221, which is one of the newest food pods that we have here in Salem. Again, indoor, outdoor eating, full bar. They've got game night, trivia night, a plethora of food. So my family and I can't figure out what we want to eat. We go here, and it's right there in West Salem. Another pro is you don't have to leave West Salem for any of your amenities. We've got we've got a couple grocery stores. We've got casual food, casual dining. Now, I will say we've got probably more fast food than we need in West Salem. And if we do want better dining, a little bit better shopping experience, we do go into the downtown area. But for us, again, part of that pro is even though we live in the outskirts and away from the city, it's a 10-minute, maybe 15-minute drive into the downtown area. And that's really cool for us because we love taking part in that charming downtown and the Saturday market that's adjacent to downtown. I love that West Salem is not a cut-through neighborhood. There is really nobody coming through West Salem unless they live out here or they're going into the countryside to go to the wineries or the vineyards. West Salem is also just that much closer to the coast. So because we can jump onto Highway 22, which will eventually connect us into the coast. Lincoln City is the closest coastal city we have. It's about an hour and change away. But again, when you're living in West Salem, every little bit counts when it comes to commuting out there. Some of the cons I mentioned were actually some of the pros. You may feel a little separated from the rest of the city because you have to cross the bridge. and you've got a longer commute to some of your big box shopping, a longer commute to I-5, things like that. If that's going to be bothersome to you, where you got to drive about 20-25 minutes to get there, then West Salem may not be the right fit for you. If you are someone that has maybe some health issues where you want to make sure there's going to be zero issues getting to the hospital, I won't say zero issues, but basically the bridge. We'll talk about that bridge real quick again. If the bridge gets shut down, we're going to have a problem because there's only two other ways to really cross the river. One's by a ferry boat that doesn't run all the time, and it's about 15 minutes north of West Salem. And then you've got another way around, but you got to go about 20 minutes south of West Salem. So really crossing the bridge is going to be your main way to get to the hospital or the rest of Salem. So if that's something that kind of freaks you out or you're not comfortable with, then West Salem's not right for you. Also, if there is a lane shut, it could add a bit of commute to getting over the bridge. The other con is if you do not like hillside living, then West Salem is absolutely not for you. Now, there is a flat section in West Salem. It's actually the least expensive area in West Salem. The homes tend to be smaller. They need a little bit more updating, but it is super close to all your amenities along Wallace Road or Edgewater, so that makes it nice. But for the most part, West Salem is hillsides, windy roads. You're not going to get away from that. So if that's something you don't want, then West Salem is going to be a con, or that's a con for the West Salem list. And lastly, the shopping in West Salem tend to be a little bit on the older side. However, I will say that more places, more restaurants, and more businesses are coming into West Salem, and there are plans for some sort of mixed-use shopping going on in West Salem along between Edgewater or in the wedge between Edgewater and Wallace. We're not sure what's going in there, but there are more places coming into West Salem as the demand grows for it. So those are the pros and cons of all the different neighborhoods in Salem. Love to hear your comments of what you think. If you have any different ideas of what the pros and cons of the neighborhoods, if you are local or if you're someone moving in here, make sure you're reaching out to my team and I at the contact information below. We'd love to help you navigate the home buying process, help you figure out what a good neighborhood is the best fit for you. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button to get this video out to more people like yourselves that are thinking about moving to Salem, and comment below. Again, want to hear from you.